Pokemon Sandwich version, and something else. So, yeah, Pokemon Skull and Violet are very controversial entries within the series, and honestly, I don't, there's really no defending them. So basically, this is the final video of the always good and bad about every Pokemon generation, at least for now. And obviously, we have Pokemon ZA coming out, and obviously the series is going to continue, let's admit that. So, obviously, what were some of the good and bad things about this generation, and why was it so controversial? Well, that's what I hope to answer today. So, let's get into the video with my first choice, of course, that being the story and characters were wonderful, plus the OST. Scarlet and Violet had some of the best characters in the series. I'm just gonna say this now. The DLC included Arvin, Penny, Nimona, Carmen, and Kieran are really wonderful characters and felt very fleshed out compared to other games. I really did like their stories, and honestly, I think Penny's and Arvin's is the two best ones in the game. Nimona's isn't too bad, but it's just the generic get all badges and stuff. She's a cool rival though. The DLC is also very fun, and I enjoyed playing for it. I was really hyped for both of them, and I, think that they're my favorite, and I feel like they're my favorite DLC that we've seen so far. Next up, we of course have the open world and the new Pokemon. The open world was something new for Pokemon. Now, Pokemon has kind of flirted with open worlds at times. Legends Arceus, you could kind of say it kind of was one. Same thing with Sword and Shield with the wild area. But Scarlet and Violet was just the first step in something new, and it was something really enjoyable, and something I hope to see again. The open world was pretty fun. Yeah, despite some of it being limited depending on how you progress through the story, and some Pokemon just being way too strong to encounter, it was still a good idea, and I hope that they continue that or improve on it in subsequent games. New Pokemon were also pretty cool too. Personally, I think this was one of my favorite generations of new Pokemon. Sword and Shield weren't bad. They had some really terrific Pokemon, but honestly, it was difficult to find enough Pokemon for that top 5 I did. But with Scarlet and Violet, there was much more Pokemon I liked in this generation, which, in my opinion, kind of makes this generation feel a lot more special. Next up, we of course have the intro of Paradox Pokemon. Those are actually pretty cool. It was it's a gimmick, but it was also a pretty cool idea with what they did. Also gives some other Pokemon some much needed attention, even if they might not really be connected to these Pokemon or something, whatever happened. But either way, they were pretty cool. Next up, we of course have the DLC. It was pretty fun, along with the returning Pokemon. DLC is pretty much a mainstay in Pokemon at this point. Personally, that's okay. As long as we get some really interesting stories, I don't really mind. And of course, the returning Pokemon are also pretty fun too. Yeah, it was tempting to use them in my playthroughs, but I wanted to stick with my original team. Kinda shows that Nintendo picked out quite a lot of fun Pokemon to return. Next up, we of course have the Terra types and raid dens. Surprisingly, these are on my positives list. These ones, yeah, they're not the best, but they were actually pretty fun too. I personally did like the event with Walking Lake and Iron Leaves back in May of 2023. It definitely made playing these games that much more special, and I would love for Pokemon to continue more stuff like that. And of course, we have challenging battles. Scarlet and Violet were arguably one of the most difficult Pokemon games that we've gotten in quite a bit. Obviously, in the main game, yeah, it's definitely challenging at some parts. The first DLC, not really, but Indigo Disc and the epilogue, I mean, wow! I had my team at level 100, and I still lost the first time to one of the Elite Four members. Like, just wow! And of course, despite so many good things about these games, there are quite a few bad things about these games. Arguably, the most noticeable: the bugs, the glitches, and the treatment of Pokemon Home. The bugs and glitches were really annoying. I've encountered quite a few of them in these games. Personally, I've encountered more for the digital versions. Yeah, because I had both Skull and Violet digitally, and I've noticed that they've crashed a lot. Compared to the physical editions, they don't seem to crash as much, but the digital versions, oh, different story. Not mention, there's also numerous bugs. I can't list many of them because I didn't really experience that much, but people were reporting just the character models just being buggy, and just all sorts of other stuff. I'm pretty sure there's compilations up on YouTube and such. And next up, we of course have the treatment of Pokemon Home. Pokemon Home did not come out until May of 2023, which was kind of annoying to have to deal with because at that point the games were already 7 months old, or at least, or kind of close to that. I feel like Pokemon Home should have come out a lot earlier. Not mention, oh, there's still issues with Pokemon Home. It doesn't work sometimes and such, and it's just kind of annoying. Not mention, there's certain Pokemon that you still can't transfer in these games, which is, well, a lot more annoying, especially if you don't want to have to constantly pay just to keep your Pokemon in storage. Next up, we of course have Pterodens can of course be tedious. Now, of course, this is more of a mixed argument. Pterodens are good, but at the same time, they still have some of the most unfair moments. They're not as bad as raid dens from Sword and Shield. They're actually a lot better. Like, seriously, raid dens were the worst thing about the Gen 8 games, in my opinion. Much more worse than the National Dex. I know it's a controversial opinion, but that's kind of what I feel. Pterodens honestly are kind of a pain to deal with, especially the 7-star raids. It also sucks when you get stuck with AI teammates that just kind of suck at battling. Of course, with that out of the way, we of course have the legendaries are tedious in the Indigo Disc, along with Stardust. The Indigo Disc introduces a lot of old Pokemon, of course, various legendaries and Stardust. Okay, it's actually somewhat easily to get some of these guys, but in my opinion, I just found it easier to transfer from Pokemon Bank. Unfortunately, you kind of can't do that anymore if you didn't download it before the shop shut down. And of course, you can't really rely on Pokemon Home because Pokemon Home kind of sucks about trades. Next up, we of course have the epilogue is kind of disappointing. Now, the epilogue, which was released in January of 2024, it's okay. Sure, we got a cool new legendary. Penny, Nimona, and Auburn meet Carmen and Kieran, which personally I think should have been the Indigo disc. I'll get more into that later. But the epilogue just it just felt tacked on. But it just felt tacked on. Not to mention, this was like revealed I think a few days after Indigo disc came out. So it just kinda makes you wonder, why wasn't this just not in the DLC to begin with? I mean, we didn't have to pay for it, but it was still kind of annoying. And of course, next up, we of course have Penny, Arvin, and Nimona on in Indigo Disc. This was before the epilogue came out, because honestly, it seemed like Indigo Disc was going to be the final DLC, kind of a send off to Gen 9. So why aren't like 3 of the characters from the main story not in the DLC? Yeah, that's probably one of my biggest complaints about Scarlet and Violet. But other than that, Scarlet and Violet were really good games. I know it's a controversial thing to say that they were good games, but frankly, I kind of did like them. I liked them a lot more than Sword and Shield. They're not perfect. They should have come out like last year, kind of give Legends Arceus some breathing room. But hopefully Nintendo did learn their lesson about not releasing these games yearly because, well, as games start to get more advanced, they need more time to be developed. I love Pokemon. It's my favorite franchise, and I'm glad to be doing these videos. But releasing these games so quickly, that's not a good idea, and we've seen quality go down with these games. I'd hate to see Pokemon end up like something like Call of Duty or Silent Hill, where either it's just the game that just comes out every year and no one cares after that, or it's just a series that just gets abandoned and just disrespected by its creators. But either way, that's all I have to say about these games. I'll, of course, be back next time with, well, whatever I had planned next. But of course, thank you all for watching. It's been fun doing these videos, and thank you all for making these videos get really popular. It means a lot. Goodbye for now, and thank you all for watching.